What happens when a convict flips off everyone in the courtroom?
You. Okay. Well.
Like in the case of Keith Ferguson, who's accused of double murder in Kalkaska, Michigan. In November 2014, 40-year-old Ferguson allegedly shot and killed his estranged wife, Tiffany, at her home in Cold Springs Township in front of their 4 children. Ferguson then took the children to his father-in-law's home and fatally shot 63-year-old James Weber. The children managed to escape while Ferguson took a hostage and barricaded himself in a house before police arrived and arrested him. Police believe the reason behind the murders was a divorce case which was filed by Tiffany. At his arraignment, Ferguson had nothing but disdain and defiance for the courtroom. He even lashed out at the judge.
You. Okay. Well.
All right, Mr. Ferguson, can I get you to stand up there at the podium, please? All right, I need to have you raise your right hand for me.
I'm leaving this
Okay, all right.
Put me back in my cell.
Okay, stop.
Right.
As for Ferguson's bond, the prosecution argued for the highest amount possible.
And has taken hostages. Based on that information, there's no doubt in my mind that this particular defendant has a high risk of non-appearance or danger to the public.
The judge concurred.
We have issues of flight, home invasion, kidnapping. The defendant is facing life offenses. I think a high bond is warranted under the circumstances to assure the defendant's appearance in court. I'm gonna set it as a $10 million bond.
After deciding to plead guilty, Ferguson repeatedly snapped and refused to comply at his plea hearing.
Well, I'm not getting into any detail of what happened.
If you want to be guilty, you have to say what you did.
I'm not saying all right? Because of the respect and safety of my children, I'm not saying nothing because they're gonna see this. They don't need to hear that. Understand what I'm saying? You know, let's make this painless and not. Give me my 100 years or whatever, and give me the out of here.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, well do it. Understand me?
What you want.
I'm not doing this in front of these stupid cameras and these inbreds.
The judge called for a break, but Ferguson was still fuming.
Don't touch me.
Eventually, Ferguson calmed down and pleaded guilty to first and second-degree murder.
And did you intend?
Oh yeah.
And did you think about whether or not you wanted to make a deliberate choice to do so?
No way. I'll put a half a magazine in that.
He even requested the death penalty.
You can't give me the death penalty? I'll see y'all in hell.
During sentencing, Tiffany's friend gave an emotional and powerful victim impact statement.
You murdered their mother and grandfather. Why? You could have just taken your own life and saved these poor kids, their grandmother, friends, and community a horrific pain. Do you have any idea of the emotional pain your kids have suffered and will continue to suffer their entire lives? Your Honor, on behalf of the kids, myself, and all of Chip's friends and family, please send Keith to prison for life without any chance for parole. Thank you.
Ferguson was also given a chance to speak, but he showed no remorse.
You know, just sentence me, kill me, whatever.
Before handing over his fate, Judge George Mertz had a few words for the defendant.
There's something fundamentally wrong with you. You're incapable of understanding that intentionally depriving an elderly woman of her husband, her mate, her life, and 4 children of your mother, to satisfy your own selfish urges,
Justice
is something that deserves the most important and serious punishment.
Ultimately, Ferguson was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for murdering 2 people.
I'm saying pull the trigger, the killer's done. No, right? Love you.
Like in the case of TJ Lane, who's on trial for multiple murders in Ohio. Lane was 17 when he opened fire at his Chardon High School on February 27, 2012.
At Chardon High School, we had shots fired, gunshots, multiple gunshots.
911. Chardon High School, we need police up here. There's someone in the building with a gun.
Gravely injuring several students. Authorities were flooded with panic-stricken 911 calls.
911, where's your emergency?
We just had a shooting at our school. We need to get out of here. Oh my
Okay.
God.
Okay. Do you have any idea where the shooter is?
He started in the cafeteria.
He started in the cafeteria?
Yeah, and he ran out.
Okay. Who was the shooter?
His name is Thomas Lane.
After Lane opened fire in the cafeteria, the school's assistant football coach, Frank Hall, chased him outside the premises. That's where the police found Lane when they arrived and arrested him. Tragically, 16-year-old Daniel Parmator died at the scene, while Russell King Jr., 17, and Demetrius Hewlin, 16, later succumbed to their injuries at the hospital. The shooting also left 17-year-old Nick Walczak permanently paralyzed. All of Lane's victims were his classmates. Lane was charged as an adult with 3 counts of murder. His friends said the teenager was often quiet and kept to himself.
He was just a person that, wanted to hide himself and keep all of his emotions in.
The kind of guy that, would sit by himself and just never bother anybody.
Reports also suggested that Lane had a deeply troubled home life. His father had previously served in prison on assault charges, while his mother often stayed away from home. Lane had initially pleaded not guilty on the grounds of insanity, claiming he often heard voices in his head.
So there's something else you wanted to tell me?
But eventually, the defendant was found competent to stand trial. So, to avoid the death penalty, Lane pleaded guilty to the murders.
You understand that you're pleading guilty. You want to plead guilty to the 3 aggravated murder charges with 3 firearm specifications.
Yes, Your Honor.
At his sentencing, Lane showed no signs of regret as the victim's family members addressed their children's killer.
That child stole my baby's life, and he should never be able to do this to anyone ever again.
I will have to eventually forgive you. Otherwise, you will haunt me. You will never, ever be in my thoughts after this. Never.
I want you to endure years and years of pain and abuse, which is, in my opinion, not harsh enough.
Lane's lack of remorse was more evident when he arrived for his sentencing, where he started executing his sinister plan by unbuttoning his shirt and revealing a white t-shirt with the word killer scribbled on it. Lane, who wore a similar t-shirt the day of the shooting, showed it off in the courtroom with a smug smile on his face. And if that wasn't enough, this is what the evil killer had to say to the victim's family members.
Saying pull the trigger that killed your son, no, right? Love you.
Ultimately, Lane was sentenced to life in prison without any chance of parole for the murder of his classmates.
First, the defendant's conduct was without any provocation. Second, it was extreme. He was relentless in his shooting. He repeatedly fired his gun at these victims in sequence, moving into position to better the aim. He inflicted extreme injury, and he kept shooting.
What happens when a convict flips off the judge? Like in the case of Penelope Soto, who is facing drug possession charges in Miami, Florida.
B-A-R-S, I don't know what is that.
Xanax bars, how they refer to it.
Xanax bar.
In 2013, Soto was arrested after she crashed her bike on Southwest Street while high on Xanax. Police also found 26 Xanax bars in Soto's purse. The next day in court, Soto showed signs of being intoxicated as she giggled, touched her hair, and appeared to stagger.
I would set the appointment at this time.
No, I'm going to appoint you because you own a lot of substantial amounts of jewelry. You can go and sell your jewelry for a...
To determine her bail conditions, Soto was asked about her assets.
How much money are you making a week, approximately?
Approximately about $200 a week.
Okay, and do you own any property of value? A house, a car, a bank account, significant amounts of jewelry?
Yes.
What do you own?
I own a lot of jewelry, all right,
Okay.
as well as
Go ahead.
a car.
Well, how much would you say your jewelry is worth? It's not a joke, you know. We're not in a club now.
Okay, but it's, you know...
At $5,000.
What is the standard bond?
It should be...
Ain't gonna be no PTS.
Okay, 5,000 on count 1, and then the rest should be ROR. Oh, yeah. This thing's also requesting a referral to Division 51 because she has no
Count 1 would be 5,000 per hour cost found. Count 2 will be ROR. Bye-bye.
Adios.
However, Judge Rodriguez Chomont was not going to tolerate Soto's sassy attitude anymore.
Come back, ma'am. Come back. Come back. Give me the paper again. Count 1 will be 10,000.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Adios.
The judge called her back and doubled Soto's bond to $10,000. While leaving the stand in disgust, Soto cursed at the judge and showed him the finger. This time, Judge Rodriguez Chomont was done playing games.
Bring her back again.
What's up?
I believe I heard you saying to...
Yes, I did. I'm not going to do
I believe you... Did you say...
Yes,
me?
actually, I
Did you say that?
Yes, sir, I did.
Oh, you did say that?
I'm not
I find you in
gonna lie.
direct criminal contempt. 30 days in the county jail.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
30 days in the county jail.
I believe that she is represented by the public defender. I don't know if
It's not being represented by the public defender.
Okay.
Soto was charged with contempt of court and sentenced to 30 days in jail when a judge gets hit by the F-bomb.
I say one thing? No, go back. Your Honor.
Like in the case of Akaya Smith, who's on trial for several offenses in Detroit, Michigan. According to reports, Smith went on assault spree in 2011 across 9 different communities, which lasted 6 years, with over 34 victims. The 32-year-old was finally caught when CCTV cameras captured him trying to break into a victim's home. Police also found a cigarette butt on one of the victim's beds, which had Smith's DNA on it. Smith was arrested and charged with multiple counts of first-degree assault and home invasion. At his trial, several of Smith's victims bravely came forward and testified.
He leaned down and he told me not to make any noise and not to do anything or he would hurt me.
His modus operandi was simple: climb in through an open window and attack his sleeping victims.
Mikey Smith got into her home through an open kitchen window and assaulted.
I rolled over in bed and I saw a flashlight in the doorway.
Smith even threatened to hurt his victims' children who slept next door.
I'll hurt her, I'll hurt you. He held a knife to my neck.
One of the victims had begged Smith to stop, as she was already a sexual assault survivor.
I was trying to make him see me as a person, to have sympathy for me.
Smith backed off, but not for long.
I still have a desire, I still want to do this. I want you to feel how excited I am, and he took my hand and made me touch him.
Eventually, Smith pleaded guilty to all charges mid-trial. At his sentencing, survivors delivered powerful victim impact statements.
I want him to go through the fear that all of us went through, being woken up in the middle of the night with a knife to our throats, and taken advantage of. And I hope that he gets that every night. That day has caused a lot of people in my life to leave. Mr. Smith made a choice to come into my home on November 24, 2014. He made a choice to forcefully violate me and set into motion a series of events that drastically altered my life, and not only mine, but those of the people who I love and who care for me.
Before declaring his fate, Judge Dalton Robertson condemned the defendant.
I don't think that the guidelines mete out enough punishment for him. I want him to have to face up to what he's done. He is a danger to the community. He's a danger to women. He just cannot resist.
Your Honor.
Well, that's okay with me. Good luck to you, buddy.
This is when things got crazy. As Judge Robertson refused to allow him to speak, Smith lashed out with the F-bomb.
Your Honor. Well, that's okay with me. Good luck to you, buddy.
Ultimately, Smith was sentenced to 55 to 80 years in prison.
Listen to me. You don't let me out of here, I'm gonna you. I'm a Jew. I'm gonna life if you don't let me out of here. Okay? I'm done.
Like in the case of Juan Rodriguez, who's accused of stabbing a woman in Miami, Florida. In 2010, Rodriguez allegedly stabbed nurse Nadine Morris at a mental health facility he was residing in after accusing her of theft. Now in bond court on an attempted murder charge, Rodriguez was off to an explosive start.
You can't be Simon when I talk to her. You
Oh,
gotta
we're
get
doing
out
out of turn. Sorry about that. Didn't give you a heads up.
1 second. He cannot be there when I talk to you. This guy cannot be there when I talk to you.
Oh, it was him. I thought it was the public defender.
As the judge ignored his request, Rodriguez became irate.
No, I don't need him. Listen to me. You don't let me out of here, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm a Jew. I'm gonna take your fucking life if you don't let me out of here. Okay? I'm done.
So
now let's eat breakfast. The rabbi's cooking.
Juan Rodriguez.
After dropping a bombshell, Rodriguez attempted to walk away.
You can't be beside me when I talk to her. You
Oh,
gotta
we're
get
doing
out.
out of turn. Sorry about that. Didn't give you a heads up.
When brought back, the defendant once again demanded to be released from prison and continued threatening to kill Judge Beatrice Buchko.
Charged with attempted murder, first degree. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender, seeing as that he doesn't appear to be in a condition to respond.
What do you want?
Appropriately.
What's your pleasure? What do you want from me? Where is Sabina? Where the fuck is she?
Finding probable cause.
What's her phone number?
Okay.
If you don't let me out of here, I'm gonna
Setting.
Cool as a cucumber, the judge seemed least interested and eventually denied him bond.
Setting no bond. Okay. Thank you, corrections. Probable cause, no bond. Appoint the public defender.
What happens when an offender lits up a joint in court? Like in the case of Spencer Allen Boston, who's at the Wilson County Courthouse in Tennessee on a drug charge. Police said during a traffic stop, 20-year-old Boston received a citation for simple possession of marijuana.
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Boston. He said he wants to represent himself in this case. I told him today was just arraignment. It's either guilty, not guilty that day. To which he responded, I just want to plead my case to the court. So he didn't want to talk to me after that, so that's why he is.
Now in court, Boston was representing himself and wanted to plead his case.
I think it's very unfair, the marijuana law here. I think we the people deserve better because marijuana is a very harmless drug, and it's been around for ages, since the 80s and 90s.
Turns out, Boston wanted to argue about marijuana law, but the judge was having none of it.
I've heard that baloney all my life, so don't go any further on that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether it's good or bad. All I know is Tennessee still has it against the law. I swore to uphold the laws, and I have to uphold the laws as a judge. It probably is unfair, but I can't change it. You've got to go see the legislature.
The judge then shifted focus to the case at hand.
But if you want a trial, we can give you a trial on the officer's day, which it's Officer Vincent.
Officer Vincent?
As the judge became busy scheduling a trial date, Boston decided to take matters into his own hands.
May 7th. Yeah, call him. I can't give you the name of the man you really need to call. But there's somebody.
Hey! We the people deserve better. Listen.
Take him to jail. Take him to jail.
Incredibly, the defendant whipped out a joint and lit it up in front of the judge. As a court bailiff restrained him, Boston held the burning contraband up to the gallery with one message.
There's somebody.
Hey! We the people deserve better. Listen.
Take him to jail. Take him to jail.
For his efforts, Boston was sent to 10 days in jail for contempt of court and an additional possession charge. What happens when a convict scares his victim into tears? On February 20th, 2016, authorities received several 911 calls about a rogue Uber driver in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I'd like to report a crazy driver. I just got an Uber to my friend's house. On the way there, he was driving neurotic down West Main. He hit a car. He drove through the woods, and I finally just jumped out.
I just got passed by a silver Traverse going southbound on Douglas. Probably every bit of 100 miles an hour.
There was a man going roughly 70, 80 miles an hour, weaving in and out of both lanes of traffic.
This silver SUV just slammed on its brakes outside my house. Okay. And threw out a guy.
The driver was later identified as 45-year-old Jason Dalton, who would later go on a deadly spree that night. While picking up a passenger, Dalton shot 25-year-old Tiana Carruthers several times in the parking lot of an apartment complex.
Okay, so female's down. She's been shot.
Don't move. Don't move.
Okay, where's the person that shot her? I don't know. The car sped off.
Dalton then sped off and changed cars from a silver SUV to a black Chevy before pulling over in the parking lot of a Kia dealership and fatally shooting 53-year-old Richard Smith and his 17-year-old son, Tyler.
Hi, we just drove by the Kia, and a guy just shot some people in the parking lot. There were two guys laying on the ground and one guy pointing a gun at them.
10 minutes later, authorities received another 911 call.
Kimsey County 911.
I'm at the Kalamazoo Cracker Barrel, and there's been gunshots in a car.
There's gunshots in a car?
Yes.
When police arrived, they found 4 people shot dead outside a Cracker Barrel restaurant. A 5th victim, 14-year-old Abigail Kopf, survived with horrific injuries. In total, 6 people died and 2 were gravely wounded in what police called an act of random shooting. In between the shootings, Dalton picked up and dropped several passengers who didn't suspect a thing. One even jokingly asked if he was the shooter. Dalton was arrested later that night after a cop identified his car.
Driver, stick your hands out the window!
He surrendered without resistance.
Hey, Jason.
Hi.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
You alright tonight?
Yeah. Not really, though.
What's going on?
I know you want an explanation.
You can get one. Because you're not this guy.
No. If you guys only knew, it would blow your mind.
Okay.
During his interrogation, Dalton blamed the Uber app, claiming its logo resembled the devil who took over his body and made him shoot 8 people.
The symbol that's on Uber. Could you bring my phone up to me so I can see it?
I have the Uber thing on here.
Can I see it, please? On Uber, when I clicked it, it went chink, and then there was like a devil head that popped up. And I pressed that button, and that's where all the problems went after that. I've experienced the full body takeover. It literally has control of you. I would have never done any of these atrocities that have happened.
Right. What made you get your firearm tonight? The app, the Uber?
Yeah.
Is that what made you put the vest on too?
Yeah.
Do you remember shooting people?
There's like little spots where it pops in and pops.
At trial, Tiana Carruthers, who suffered severe mental and physical trauma, took the stand.
I seen him coming, and I saw a gun.
Intimidator cars. No, they gave bags. These old people, they have these old black bags. They're called they're black. They're black bags, and people drive around and you look at them. It gets real like, hey, and it's time people look, and then that's when to tell people it's time to get to Temple.
Joe, you need to listen to your attorney, right?
Yeah, you need to get to Temple because you need to get going because it's called intimidator bags.
You need to be quiet in today's proceedings, okay?
Yeah.
If you have anything to say, you whisper to your attorney. That's today's rules, okay?
The judge intervened as the witness broke into tears.
So, Ms. Carruthers, are you okay? Or do we need to take a minute?
When the prosecutor asked Carruthers if she needed a minute, Dalton lunged at the victim.
Take it.
The judge asked for a recess and Dalton was dragged out of the courtroom. Eventually, Dalton pleaded guilty to multiple counts of murder, assault, and felony firearm. Finally, it was time for the Uber killer to learn his fate.
You, Jason Brian Dalton, be remanded to the custody of the Michigan Department of Corrections for assessment and sentencing for a period of life without the possibility of parole as mandated by statute. This is to be served consecutive to any sentence imposed.
Dalton was ultimately sentenced to life in prison with no hope of parole for his deadly shooting spree.